Welcome to a new episode of the European SchoolNet podcast series. This podcast brings you stories, best practices and first-hand experiences from across Europe, highlighting how innovation and technology are shaping the future of education. I'm Bart Verswijvel, and in today's episode we'll be exploring how the Future Classroom Lab model is being implemented in different European countries, focusing specifically on Finland and Denmark. From flexible learning environments to rethinking classroom design and supporting teacher development, we'll look at how this approach is driving meaningful change in schools. To guide us through these national perspectives, we are joined by two guests. Sampo Forsström, Future Classroom Lab Ambassador, lecturer, project manager and educational developer at the University of Eastern Finland. And from Denmark, we have Martin Thun Klausen, Future Classroom Ambassador as well, who works as pedagogical IT consultant at University College Copenhagen. Now, let's start with a brief introduction. Could you both describe the venue you work in and what kind of activities you organize there and for what type of audiences? Sampo, would you like to start?
Yes, very happy to do so. So nice to see you, Bart and Martin, and hello, Europe. Greetings from Joensuu, Finland. So I work at the teacher training school of the University of Eastern Finland, and we are part of the Faculty of Education within a university setting. The teacher training schools have a special tasks, or a few special tasks. One is teacher training, another one is the development of teaching, and the teacher training schools on a national scale also act as research and development environments. And these tasks and, let's say, specifications we have are very much in line with the, let's say, objectives of the Future Classroom Lab. So it's very easy and like useful for me to combine or do the Future Classroom Lab work as a lead ambassador of Finland in our setting. So the Future Classroom Lab project activities that we do, of course, is to do with development in many ways, development of new learning environments, promoting educational technologies, and also diversifying the pedagogical models. We organize different activities to the, let's say, in-service teachers and pre-service teachers, and also collaborate with companies and researchers in trying to develop teaching and learning in many possible ways.
Okay, great. And how is the situation where you work, Martin?
Yeah, I'm actually sitting right now in the Future Classroom Lab in Denmark. We have a big lab, 1,000 square meters, where it's an open lab that we use in all different ways into the Future Classroom Lab thoughts and Future Classroom Lab approaches. I'm located at the University College Copenhagen, and I work in a department called Center for Educational Resources. And we are public funded, and our role is to give advice and guidance to in-service teachers. But also a part of our Future Classroom Lab is that we have teacher training down here. We have a special kind of teacher training that we call the Future Classroom Teacher. And therefore, this lab is both like a classroom for them, but it's also a classroom where we do training for local municipalities, for visitors from all over Europe and from policymakers and people like that. But so it's a it's a place where we train, but it's also a place where we develop and try to have different views on what could be new ways to go with learning and with education in Denmark.
Okay, great. I think you're both lucky with the circumstances and the context that you can work in, but could you also tell something more about your country in general? What is the current state of art of the classrooms over there? And would you say that the ideas of the FCL are widely spread? Maybe we will stay in Denmark, Martin. Could you tell us something about your country in general?
Yeah, in Denmark, it's very much up to the local municipalities and the local schools to decide how they do the learning environment. Therefore, we don't have like future classroom labs in the schools, but they use the ideas we present to develop their own views and their own ways of doing learning environments and doing views into learning in schools. Right now, well, not right now, but the last couple of years, we've had a big focus actually on how to have maker spaces as a part of the schools. So how to give some of the possibilities that the maker and the maker philosophies does into education. So this like small part of what Future Classroom Lab is about has implemented all over Denmark. Another thing is that we are currently going into a phase where we are trying to rethink subjects and rethink the focus of the schools. And here, from the government side, there's to be a lot of focus on practical ways of learning, on more physical activities, and in that way we try to give different views on how this could be done.
Thank you. Sampo, do you see similarities or differences in your country? Could you give a broad picture of what's happening over there?
Yes. Thank you, Martin, for painting the Danish picture. I've also had the joy of visiting schools in Denmark and very impressed with the architecture of the buildings and such. If we look at Finland, I would say that in a big picture, the school buildings and learning environments are of good quality, and there are places for, let's say, for many kinds of activities that we want to see in the learning of today and learning of tomorrow. There is a little bit of, let's say, discussion about, we used to build this kind of open concept schools, and now, because there are different needs that we have in the schools, and if we do not have enough places for quiet work and such kind of things, then, or if the pedagogical models and, let's say, the physical environment are not in balance, so those are the kind of discussions that we are facing. So it's really important that the learning conception is, let's say, in balance with what the possibilities of the learning environment provide. We have done like a concept analysis of what is expected of the learning spaces from our national curriculum, and there is a recognition that the traditional school facilities do not like optimize. Let's say we have the different learning zones, and the, let's say, traditional setup does not make things possible. So when we are developing the learning environments, it's not just developing even though our network is the Future Classroom Lab, it's not just about the classroom, but the possibilities of learning throughout the whole of the schools. So, for example, the Finnish Future Classroom Labs, I would say, are more Future Classroom schools. And as mentioned, we have the Future Classroom Labs within the schools and in the teacher training schools, where we have both the students and the teacher students as well. So there is, of course, work to be done. There are differences within different schools, within different regions, but let's say overall, everything is quite good. And what we're trying to raise at the moment is the kind of, let's say, competence of learning environments, and also the kind of opening of the eyes of the teachers and the users of the different learning environments, that we can have an input on the environment where we work in.
Yes, Sampo, well, we all know that education in Finland is considered as top level in the world. Do you see similarities to your work you do as a Future Classroom Lab ambassador in the way the government, let's say, thinks about how education in Finland should be organized?
Well, we have the joy of working closely with, let's say, the Agency of Education, and we are involved. We have about 35 ambassadors and FCL ambassadors, and many of us are involved in the development at a national scale. So I would say that we have a nice role in that, and we speak the same language with the expectations of our national kind of educational leaders as well. So.
Let's turn to Denmark again. You mentioned that you organize in your FCL in Copenhagen this special section on teacher training, which is called Future Classroom Lab Teacher, or could you elaborate a bit on this as well? And is it a model that is only taking place in Copenhagen, or is it widely spread in Denmark? Martin?
Yeah, it's our teacher education. It's like a small innovative part of the teacher education. They have they become normal teachers, but what we wanted to do is try to make that teacher education to have all their classes down here in the lab, and to have a special focus on technology literacy, and the use of our learning zone model, and the perspective on having new teachers that wanna go change the schools. So it's a model that we only have here in our university, and it's we have this year we have 2 new groups of teachers of students. So we have about. It's not that big, about maybe 35 students that attended this class, and they have normal subjects like math, Danish, things like that. But have their 2 first year, all of their classes is down here. And what is special about that is that, as this is an open lab, it's a place where all different things happens. So not only do they have their classes in an open space with all different views and things, but it's also a place where they meet the teachers that we have here for in-service workshops. They meet the guests from all over Europe. They meet us consultant developing on different things. So 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 we try to also have like kind of a innovative mindset into to what these new teachers is going to have.
Thank you. Sampo, you are part of the teacher training department of your university. Is there any connection in the teacher training, how you organize it, to the ideas of the FCL?
Well, let's say the teacher training that the university students have in Finland, they have 4 practices within their studies. And of those 4 practices, 3 are being done at the teacher training schools. 1 is being done in a, let's say, municipal school or an international school or somewhere else. So luckily we have the possibility of walking along these future teachers and also trying to develop the kind of nice things that Martin and Lasse are doing in Copenhagen. Sadly, we do not have the kind of possibility to mix all the participants because there are, let's say, a little bit more kind of structures within these teacher training practices that they are doing with us. But of course, we try to tell them about the future classroom labs. We have workshops for them. At the moment, we have the teaching practice number 4 taking part. And a few weeks ago, we organized a big event to do with educational technology. We had a little bit over 100 participants taking part in the afternoon sessions. We did that in cooperation with a company. So we had pizzas and stuff for them as well, to get hands-on experiences and talk about what does it mean to be like a developer in your work. And also we have, luckily, this kind of projects we cooperate on with the university researchers. And many times our teacher students are part of these researcher programs. And now we just started a few weeks ago as well, a project with the kind of maker. Martin talked about kind of makering ideas. So we have a project called Maker Masters, and that combines, let's say, the kind of multidisciplinary learning and good use of technologies, and also hands-on activities through makering and stuff and there is also like research involved. So we have in many ways a possibility to affect, maybe not in such a strong structured way as in the future Danish teachers who choose the FCL path. But anyhow, I would say that in all the 10 teacher training schools, all the future teachers know what is the FCL.
Great. Now, Martin and Sampo, you have both been FCL ambassadors for many years. I would like to ask each of you, what is, according to you, the most impactful let's say, activity you have done in your work or in the approach of the FCL so far? So maybe you have some success stories to share. Sampo?
Well, yes. One success story I would like to share is, now I just came back from Brussels on Saturday. I remember the first time I went to Brussels as an FCL ambassador 2019. And, first time stepping through the doors is quite exciting, but also a little bit scary. And now for the last 5 or 6 years, I've had a nice active role in the, let's say, network, and most of my work is to do with networks and to have built a network of future classroom labs in Finland with 10 labs and 35 active teachers who have the passion for development and the sharing of expertise, let's say, within this group, but also outside, that when we're looking of value, what brings value to our work, it is that, you're able to work in either national or local or international networks. And this is something that I cherish. And I'm like people. So for me, it's one happy, and also we've had great cooperation with partners, and also, let's say, at a Nordic scale, we cooperate quite closely. So not just a network of expertise, but let's say a network of friends, and at the European level. So that's amazing.
And the partnership includes also industry partners. Do you refer to these?
Well, yes, we've had really nice either done by ourselves or then with the help of the FCL, and of course we have the official partners and some highlights we can look back upon, for example with Lego or Matatabot, and now there's the Whalebot pilot starting. So it's always happy to be involved and share the kind of ideas that we have about learning and what kind of technologies we should have playing a role in the learning process, and at least from my experience, I think they have been beneficial for both sides, so us educators and also the partners.
Great. Martin, what about you?
Yeah, it's we've been part of the Future Classroom Lab for 10 years, since the beginning almost. I think we missed one meeting, something like that. And when I look back, it's one of the key things is actually connected to our collaborations with the industry partners. The department that I work in, the Center for Educational Resources, is my role in that is to give impartial guidance to schools and municipalities on learning materials. And when we started up 10 years ago, the market on technology was actually quite. I mean, there were technology, but the views on it was not that broadened, and the connections to those partners weren't there. So building up a big network around that, we have now more than 40 partners in our Future Classroom Lab, and as a partner, the important thing for us is actually that it goes both ways. So a lot of times to say it another way, a lot of our work is actually focused on pushing on that agenda also. I mean, we have a view on what learning and what education should look like in Denmark, and with having 40 partners, we can push that agenda into the ones making the learning materials also. So to be able to make them aware of what is schools in Denmark, what is how is the market, how is what do they want out there, but also being able to enforce a more student-centered, active, creative, playful approach to what is going to happen. So that's one of the things that really have expanded throughout the 10 years, and also our work in technology literacy or technology comprehension, in broaden that view in Denmark, so that to be able to include more playful approaches to learning into that, to include a broader view on a critical approach to technology, to have the technology and the ways of using technology to be an empowerment of the students is also have been a thing that we in Future Classroom Lab Denmark has been working with, and have actually been quite successful in influencing both the key role makers in what is going to what ways we are going in Denmark, but also to actually start those reflections in schools and with teachers, because a lot of things can happen on paper from the ministry, but the places where it happens is in school with the students and the teachers. So the reflections and the curiosity has to start there.
Yeah, I wanted to connect to what you just said. I like the expression "pushing the agenda," and then you mentioned that maybe the ideas, in theory, may be quite nice, but you also need the teachers to bring them into practice. Do you see challenges in schools in changing, for instance?
Yeah, it's always difficult. I mean, the schools and also schools' environment are sometimes very. It's a long tradition of how teaching is done and how you learn that has to be shifted a little bit. And one of our ways into trying to do this is trying to a small thing we did was a small story we try to sell is the idea about including trash and old toys in the classrooms through we have something we call the trash library, or the trash treasure, or the trash bag. So just like doing small things that a teacher can say, okay, I can test this out, but small things can also do big impacts, because some of the most difficult things in Danish classrooms right now is actually students being bored about just using a portal for learning and just doing things by themselves, not being so much hands-on and stuff. So we try to make small things, and the thing is that it has to be meaningful for the teachers, and as soon as it does this, then the change can start.
Sampo, do you see similar challenges in your country or different ones?
Well, I would say that the challenges are probably very same, and talking to the European colleagues, I'm sure we're facing the same things. How do we get teachers involved in the transformation, taking part in the, let's say, training that many of us provide? And one thing that is also a challenge is like the big masses. Martin said that small things, we can have a big impact. Sadly, the case is many times that it is the same active people from the school taking part in this kind of development projects or innovative ideologies, and then there is a big part that stays outside. So I would also like to emphasize the kind of role of the school leadership in promoting changes, in promoting new things to the schools, and they play an essential role, and then the transformation of the school culture is something that we're all trying to build to make this kind of Martin mentioned the kind of innovative mindset that the future teachers of the FCL in Copenhagen will have eyes and senses for. So that's something, and of course emphasizing what we know and what research shows that what are the key elements in the learning. And of course in this rapidly changing technological world, we need to maybe emphasize even more the kind of key areas that we want. We need to have focus on interaction, participation, well-being, sustainability, meaningfulness, pupil activity, and so on. So adding these to the soup, then we'll have a nice mix, and we'll just be the sous chefs at one point, hopefully.
Bon appétit.
Yeah.
Now, to finish, I would like to ask you, maybe Sampo, you can continue, whether you want to share your plans for the future. Are there any new initiatives or developments coming up?
Well, of course, hopefully yes. Sadly, the kind of, let's say, national scale development funding is being cut by the agency and by our ministry. So we are also looking, let's say, more at the European scale possibilities for funding. But even, if we do not have, because we've been partly funded by the agency, and that's the FC Future Classroom Lab of Finland has been a little bit different compared to many of the networks in different European countries, but because now we have the kind of network and the passion that our ambassadors have, I'm sure that they will continue the good work even without getting some small financial compensation for the development work. So and I'm sure that our network of teacher training schools is very happy to push the initiative forward in the near future as well. So I'm not sure of what my work responsibilities will be, but I'm sure that there will be a place for the FCL ambassador role in the future as well.
Yeah, and finally we listen to Martin. What are your future plans?
We have many plans, but compared to in relation to the Future Classroom Lab role in Denmark, the Center for Educational Resources is a network that covers the whole of Denmark, and we are working more and more closely together with the other centers to include them to have the same perspectives as we have in our lab. I believe very much in the physical space and materials as a innovator for change, and therefore the thing about having this big physical lab that includes both some teacher training and both in-service and teacher education, being able to have that many places in the universities is a goal for us. But it's also something that is sometimes hard to start. So we have like small initiatives in the other universities, but not as big as the one we have here. So yeah, that's something that we're hoping for. We're also we're working on. We have a national platform for the whole maker movement in the education that includes like online forums and maps and stuff like that. And that is right now very much centered about maker and maker spaces, but we want to expand that so that it is more like a hub for innovative learning spaces all over Denmark, both the very small ones and also the bigger ones.
Thank you. So we have come to the end of today's episode. Many thanks again to our guests for joining us today and for sharing their experience with the Future Classroom Lab in their national contexts. As we have heard, innovation in education isn't just about new tools or technologies. It's about rethinking how we teach, how we learn, and how we support teachers in adapting to change. If you'd like to learn more about the Future Classroom Lab, don't forget to check out our channels. There you'll find updates about our latest courses, webinars, projects, and of course, our Future Classroom Lab Ambassadors Digest. And if you have enjoyed this episode, you can find it as well as all our other podcast episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Just search for European Schoolnet. That's all from me. Thank you for listening and see you next time.